why can't the answer to the question? Okay, right. So we're back to this question, part E. Why can't the question is, what are the other frequencies that alias to this frequency? Right? All of them above fs divided by 2 alias to something, but which one's alias to this frequency? And so we had to pick the ones that were on this line here, right? On that line here, because all of those alias to this frequency, 0.833 megahertz. The other one's alias to some other frequencies. Okay, so there's a lot of interest in this. Let's see, we're at just past 8:45. I can do one more aliasing question, just so that you see this again, because it's clearly something that a lot of people have questions about. Or and maybe do that, make sure I stop that by 9 o'clock, and so that we can talk about other things in the second hour. Does that sound good? So I'm just going to stop at 9. Stop me at 9, even if I don't get to the end of the question. Okay. Right. So on the very last page of the packet, we have a bunch of questions. And which one am I going to do? Okay, yeah, what's labeled here is problem 3, so the one at the top. And there's no room for this, so I'm going to have to use this again. So the question asks, well, it defines g of t to be cosine 6 pi of t, and h of t to be cosine 14 pi of t, where t is in seconds. And it tells you that the frequency of g of t is 3 hertz, and the frequency of h of t is 7 hertz. Well, they didn't actually need to tell you that. That's already, that information is already there. So let's cross that out and say, if that information was not there, you would still know that, because what's in here is 2 pi f, let's call it f1 of t, and what's in here is 2 pi f2 of t, right? So f1 has to be 3, and f2 has to be 7, right? So if you are, if you're just given the definition of g of t and h of t, you should know what the frequencies are. Right? The frequency has to be 3 hertz and 7 hertz, right? So this question starts off with the hard question right away. Find a sampling frequency, fs1, such that it is greater than 7 hertz, but h of t aliases to g of t. Okay, so it's a pretty hard question. What I would do is, even without doing anything else, I would draw my picture, my sawtooth, right, to at least anchor me, so that I have something down. Okay, and I don't know how many I need here. Let's draw 3. So this axis is g. This axis is f, and this is f sub s. Okay, so we don't know what f sub s is in this question. We don't know, because that's what we're asked to find out. All that's given to us, I'll call it f sub s sub 1, because that's what it's called, f sub s1. We do know that f sub s1 is greater than 7 hertz. Right, that's given to us in the question. So based on this, let's draw our two frequencies that we have. We have g of t is 3 hertz, and h of t is 7 hertz. So they live somewhere in the first triangle, right? They live somewhere under the first triangle, because this sampling frequency is greater than 7. So 3 and 7 are in there. And we know that they both alias to the same frequency. Let's call it g. Right, so, yeah, let's call it g. So I can draw a G across here. And therefore, 3 and 7 are right there. Okay, this is the critical step in solving this problem, is writing down that 3 and 7 have this relationship under the triangle. Okay, why is that? Let me make sure you know why that is. Because 3 and 7 alias to the same frequency, right? That's why they have the same G associated with them. And they're both in the first triangle because we know that fs1 is greater than 7 hertz. So let's use this information to figure out f sub s. Actually, one thing I didn't draw, which you should probably have, is that this is fs divided by 2. Right? The peak of the triangle is fs divided by 2. You could see that pretty easily. And now you should be able to tell what fs divided by 2 is based on the picture. It's 5. It's right between the 3 and the 7. Right? It's the average of 3 and 7. So this is 5, and therefore this is 10. Right? So that's I think that's the best way to solve this problem. 10 hertz.
Don't you know that frequency 3 and you know there's no alias there? You have to talk on 7 or 9.
That's true. I mean, there are other ways to. Yeah, you could add these two numbers to get 10 because they're both in the first triangle. But I think the critical observation is that they are both in the triangle, and to draw the picture, and then that there are a couple of other ways to get to that final answer. Okay. I guess the formulaic way to solve the problem. I have 7 more minutes on the question. The formulaic way is to notice that G is equal to the first frequency 3 minus M1 Fs, which we don't know, and this is equal to 7 minus M2 Fs, which we don't know. And then you would have to solve this equation for f sub s. You would have to know that M1 is equal to 0 because it's in this part of the curve. So this part of the curve corresponds to m equals 0. And then you have to know that this first valley, the entire first valley, it corresponds to m equals 1. So you have 3 minus fs absolute value equals 7 minus fs absolute value. This leads to two possible situations. You can have 3 minus fs equal to plus or minus 7 minus fs. Right? To take away the absolute values, you have to account for both sides. And sure. Thanks. Like this. I'm getting confused, and I think I may be wrong. So, okay, I don't know. I really think it's not worth doing that because even I get totally confused by it. Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Right. So I wasn't getting the right answer. M1 is 0, so okay, so we can continue that. So you get, so absolute value of 3, which is just 3, 7 minus fs, absolute value. So 7 minus fs equals plus or minus 3, which gives you fs equals 10 or 4, and somehow that's not the right answer because it's less than 7, right? So this is the right answer. Anyway, I really don't like this, as you can tell, but some of you may like it, and I find it extremely confusing.